workers suffering heat exhaustion is not a work hazard.
Excuse me. It is a public health hazard, and OSHA is limited by what the authority that Congress has delegated it. OSHA has authority to regulate and oversee occupational hazards.
Yeah, standards, right?
Occupational hazards.
Yes. And why would you not
water,
think it is
things like
not an
that.
occupational hazard if someone is being forced to work 8 hours under 120 degrees
And employers-
without getting regular breaks?
And employers are already taking action to
So you
protect
believe
workers from
employers should have the responsibility to decide
Have
who dies and who
responsibility.
survives? And
The media wants you to believe in Illinois just uncovered a massive worker safety scandal, and that Republicans are happily letting people collapse and die on the job. But there's an old political saying that fits moments like this perfectly. A lie can make it halfway around the world before the truth even finishes its coffee. So grab a drink, coffee, water, whiskey, even champagne, whatever keeps you alert, and stay with me until the end. Because once a medical expert calmly explains the law, Ilhan Omar's entire argument collapses in real time. No yelling, no insults, just facts. And that's what really delivers the knockout.
Without sharks and salt. The representative from Minnesota, Ms. Omar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I find it truly astonishing that House Republicans have brought us here today to discuss ways to unleash America's workforce while they are actively abandoning workers. How exactly are we supposed to unleash anything when federal workers are being threatened by an unelected billionaire? When critical government services and authorized funds are being disturbed at a whim? When worker protection, basic safeguards against unsafe working conditions and employment discrimination are being undermined? We are already hearing reports that the Trump administration has begun firing many workers at the Department of Labor and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. Ranking Member Scott and I recently sent a letter to HHS demanding more information about these staffing cuts and grant distributions. We have not heard anything back yet. Dr. Sherholz, I want you to help us understand how these attacks on critical agencies will impact worker safety. What does it mean for workers if these agencies lose significant numbers of federal employees?
What OSHA does is protect workers' health and safety by passing laws, by passing regulations, publishing regulations, enforcing those regulations. When they have less personnel, they will be able to do that less effectively. America's workers will be less safe on the job, full stop. The Wage and Hour Division, for example, they enforce wage protections. They make sure, their workforce has already been shrunk dramatically, so their low-wage workers today lose tens of billions of dollars a year in the form of wage theft by their employers, employers not paying minimum wages that they are owed, not paying overtime that they are owed. We cut Wage and Hour Division, and that skyrockets even further. Workers will be hurt by actually being hurt on the job and by losing wages that they were legally owed.
And who really benefits when agencies lose this capacity?
Okay. The people who benefit are bad apple employers. They benefit because they are able to cut corners on worker safety protection. They're able to cut corners on actually paying their workers. They just don't have as much oversight over what they do. So bad apple employers gain over workers. Bad apple employers gain over lawful employers because then they are in a competitive advantage over lawful employers. And then the other group that benefits from this are the wealthy, who are going to be the disproportionate beneficiaries of the tax cuts that these kinds of agency cuts are going to help pay for.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I have to say, these attacks will have, as you just said, real and devastating consequences for working people in this country. It's about thinking about economic mobility. It's about thinking about job security. It's, at minimum, thinking about institutional stability. And what we are witnessing that is taking place in this country really is something that I find very outrageous and shameful. And I'm glad that we are having this conversation. I hope that we get to have many of these conversations. And lastly, before I yield back my time, Mr. Molino, Miss Molino, why do you believe workers suffering heat exhaustion is not a work hazard?
Excuse me. It is a public health hazard, and OSHA is limited by what the authority that Congress has delegated it. OSHA has authority to regulate and oversee occupational hazards.
Yeah, standards, right?
Occupational hazards.
Yes. And why would you not think it is not an occupational hazard if someone is being forced to work 8 hours under 120 degrees
and
without getting regular breaks?
And employers are already taking action to
So you believe employers should have the responsibility to decide who dies and who survives in the heat?
They have a responsibility to keep their workers safe, most definitely, but that is separate and apart from
So
OSHA's
you're saying
authority.
those employers who have not done that, who have seen people die at their workplaces in places like Texas, it's just because they're bad people and we shouldn't have the responsibility of protecting the workers, is what I hear.
That's not what I'm saying, but thank you.
I thank the gentlelady. I recognize now the gentleman from California, Mr. Kiley.
This exchange takes place during a House hearing on America's workforce and OSHA's authority. Ilhan Omar comes in fired up, accusing Republicans of abandoning workers, stripping protections, and letting employers decide who lives and who dies on the job. Big accusations, heavy drama. Then she turns to a medical expert, clearly expecting him to back her up. Instead, she gets corrected. And this is the moment worth clipping. Omar aggressively argues that heat exhaustion should automatically be treated as an OSHA-regulated workplace hazard, strongly implying that anyone who disagrees supports unsafe and deadly working conditions. The doctor responds calmly and explains something Omar either doesn't understand or doesn't want to acknowledge. OSHA can only regulate occupational hazards within the authority Congress has granted it. Public health risks and workplace regulation are not the same thing under the law. And just like that, the entire narrative unravels. Here's why this moment lands so hard. Omar isn't asking questions to learn. She's asking questions to trap the witness emotionally. She frames disagreement as cruelty. She frames legal limits as moral failure. And she frames federal overreach as compassion. But the doctor doesn't take the bait. He explains plainly that employers already have safety responsibilities. Yes, bad actors exist, but that doesn't justify unlimited federal power. OSHA cannot regulate everything simply because it sounds morally urgent. That isn't heartless. That's how the law actually works. This wasn't about worker safety. It was about expanding bureaucratic authority by using fear as leverage. Omar wanted a soundbite. She wanted a headline. She wanted a viral moment. What she got instead was a calm, factual explanation that exposed how thin her argument really was. And that's why this clip matters. Ilhan Omar didn't expose Republicans. She exposed how often the left confuses emotion with authority and outrage with expertise. The doctor didn't shout. He didn't posture. He simply told the truth.